Good afternoon, fellow Plexers. Today we're going to help David sort out two similar TV shows. One is Agatha Christie'ss Marple from 2004, and the other is Agatha Christie'ss Miss Marple, 1984. And we're going to start with this Plex support article, and I'll use FileBot just to speed the process up. So basically, Plex is pulling naming for a TV show from a combination of cache data from both the movie database and the TV database. And by default, Plex pulls episode ordering from the movie database and not the TV database. I prefer to make one settings change in my library to make that happen, so I name from the TVDB. But let's start with this. And all my videos are unscripted, so let's get rid of whatever was there. And let's paste in a little bit. And let's see how both of these appear in the two databases. Occasionally, things will be slightly different in one than the other, but usually that has to do with anime more so than regular TV series. And let's see if I can log in here. Log in. Okay, so the only difference in naming is the years included at the movie database, which is standard. It's not standard at the TVDB. So let's just take this name without the year, and let's do this. Let's create a show folder based on that. And let me copy this file in. Oh, can't do that. Let me grab this name again. So this is just a dummy file. It's me talking. It's 20 seconds long. It's not a real episode. So let's give ourselves two fake episodes. And now let's look for the other show. Let's only look for TV shows. So here's the problem. It might not be the name of the show to start off with. Okay, so it's just Miss Marple. And that's a common mistake people make, not checking the database to see if the show is actually what they believe it's named. And I've discovered an issue here. Let's go into the seasons and look at some episode names. The Body in the Library, 3 episodes. The Moving Finger, 2. It looks like these are all considered movies, probably TV movies. The Body in the Library is here. So that's what we have. We have it listed as a movie in one database, is what I think is going on here. Or maybe not. It's still coming up under the TV show heading. Well, let's see what IMDb considers it, even though it's not used in a Plex TV show. IMDb considers it a mini-series. Okay, so that's what's going on here. TMDB is considering it a separate mini-series, where TVDB adds the separate miniseries all as one TV show. And that's one of the benefits of TVDB, in my opinion. So that makes things more complicated. You really have to be in one camp or the other. And let me do this. Before I bring it on screen, let me get into my edit mode of my library. Okay, so I'm in my TV show library, and you want to go to the advanced, and this would be one of the benefits of pulling episode ordering from the TVDB. So if you have the full collection of all these miniseries, I would not pull episode ordering from the movie database. I would instead pull it from TVDB, where it's organized better. And to be honest with you, I think everyone should change this one advanced setting. By default, it's set for the movie database. I just think you have an easier time researching shows and getting done what you need to have done. So the video is going to continue on without the movie database and only with the TV database. So I can simply copy Miss Marple. Now Plex does recommend that the year get added, so that'll come in later. So we're going to create a couple dummy files here too, and I'll do that quickly just by reusing these other ones. Okay, now let me create a test Plex TV show library on my Unraid server. My friends and family are connected to my main server, and I still have my old server up with no one connected. So we're in the Plex server settings. I've got the right server selected. I'll go down to Manage Libraries. I'll add a TV show library. Well, first of all, I have to create a folder for it. Again, my videos are live and they're not scripted. So I just created a folder called TV Test, and now I have to point to it. So TV show library, and I'll call it the same thing here, TV Test. Next, browse for my media. And where am I going here? TV Test, add, and it's not going to find anything. But before I add the library, I'll click into the advanced, and I'll change this to the TVDB, and I'll click Add Library. So now we have a library to refer to right here once I add something. So we'll hold this off screen and open a new window. So let me just add this here. I guess I can't. I'll keep them both in the same. So what I can do is I can simply copy each of these in kind of a raw form without season folders, just to show you what will happen in Plex. So even with that very basic structure without adding a year, Plex found each of them. Let me pause the video and field that phone call. So without great structure, and by no means is this great structure, Plex found it. So if we go into this episode and go into the TV show, it's got everything it needs. It doesn't take much as long as we had that basic name. And of course I pointed episode ordering to the TVDB where that whole set of miniseries exists as its own TV show. So let's do this. Let's get rid of these. Rescan this. And I think I've run into this problem before. When the library is completely empty, Plex won't find anything. So let me do this. Let me create a folder. What will we call it? We'll call it Star Trek. We'll rename it Star Trek. And we'll copy this in. And now we'll rescan, see what happens. It's a weird thing that I've discovered. I don't know why Plex won't scan back to an empty library. It needs one show in there. I've never read anything official on it. It's just something I've discovered playing around with test Plex libraries for videos. Alright, so now we're back to these two shows. Let's open them both up in FileBot. Now this won't be a FileBot video. I've redone my configuration, and I'll show you for TV series I can rename only by air date, do a TVDB rename only by DVD order, or create structure for both air date and DVD order. And that's what I'll do here. I'll create structure. This opened up off screen. That's where I had it last. And FileBot doesn't know what the one show is. So Agatha Christie'ss Marple, it's asking me if it's Miss Marple, and it's not. It's this one. So I have to select that. Okay, so this is correct, and this is not correct. So I'll have to rename these separately to get it right. So I'll remove the one it didn't get correct, and I'll rename this. And if I refresh, FileBot added the year to it, and it added the year here too. Now I'm not putting the TVDB source ID in. I think I do that manually only if I need it. And my expression for FileBot adds in media characteristics in brackets, and these brackets Plex tells us hide the information from the scanner. So someplace down here, see all these examples. Look how it uses a space dash space as the official separator between parts of the episode file name. It's always season 01 and not season 1. There's no underscores, there's no periods to replace spaces. And this official separator can be replaced by a single period, but you can't replace a natural space by a period. Alright, so I have to go up to find that extra information. Right here, optional info goes in brackets. Alright, so let's go back and let's get Miss Marple automatically named with FileBot. I'll use my same expression. So now it's guessing correctly. Renamed. So now if I copy both of these back to my test library, let me refresh that. And actually, let's remove the fake Star Trek. And if we rescan, Star Trek will disappear and both shows will come back. So it's kind of an interesting one that it's not listed the same, or at least this show's not listed the same in both databases. And it would be kind of fun to, well, let's do that. Let's remove this. And okay, hold on. Let me go back and rescan. This may not have been a good thought to continue the video with. Let me run this one through FileBot again. Now, because I've added my custom expressions, I don't see the new default version 5 expressions that were added. But if I hold down my Shift key and then hit the presets, I will now see the ones that that FileBot added. And this would be matched by episode title, or it would be organized episodes for Plex. So that's what I'll pick. Okay, so we have to find Miss Marple. And now this is where it's going to ask us which miniseries it is. So what were we looking at? The Body in the Library. And FileBot's not even giving me that option. It does have a murder is announced. So let's just say that's what we actually have, just to give you an idea of how FileBot will handle this. Oh, there, I'm sorry, A Body in the Library is there. Okay, so now this is going to create it in a different folder than where my expression creates it. It creates it in the media folder. So let's keep everything together. So this is now the official name of the miniseries, and it's got the TMDB ID number. I honestly don't know what will happen because I pull episode ordering from the TVDB, and this series doesn't exist there. So let's see how Plex handles it. Plex is smarter than I gave it credit for. So now it knows these are 2 of the 3 episodes from this mini-series. And that's a different entry than what you would get by naming to the TVDB that combines all the mini-series. Now, this doesn't happen a lot. So let's go back to TVDB. I have another example on my server. With a whole collection of Ken Burns documentaries, which were all considered individual miniseries. But the genius of the TVDB entries is all those individual collections of different documentaries, which were all like a 2 or 10-part miniseries event, can all be added under one show title. So if you look under season 2023, and this is one of the few examples where a season number would be season space 2023. Next month there's going to be a 2-part documentary by Ken Burns on PBS called The American Buffalo, Part 1 and Part 2. Now I'm sure if we go to the movie database, that'll be listed as a separate entry as its own mini-series. So here's the 2 episodes. So if you had many of Ken Burns' documentaries, naming towards the TMDB would get you all those as individual miniseries that you could then group in a collection, or heading over to the TVDB, you can find, and this is what I love about the TVDB, you can search by all seasons, And then you can do keyword searches. Say you've got his baseball miniseries. You can just search for it, and oh, that was from 1994, and they're broken up into these 11 episodes. Say you've got his one on the suffragette movement. Not for Ourselves Alone. That's from 1999. And if you look back at TMDB, which I keep closing, that again would be its own separate mini-series. And if all your episode ordering and naming came from the TMDB, you'd have to name it this way. So there's a lot of benefits to TVDB, and the biggest benefit is just being able to do an all-season view, like what I'm into now. And if you wanted a particular season, you just click into it. Sometimes you'll find more specials listed at the TVDB than the movie database. That's another benefit. And this is a great benefit. The movie database for TV shows doesn't offer a DVD order, and Plex can use an alternate DVD order. So if we're at the show level, I can go into the advanced settings of the show, and I can drop down someplace here, or I went past it, episode ordering, and I can manually choose either the DVD or the absolute ordering from the TVDB. The movie database, which is default, only has the aired ordering. So I just prefer working out of the TV database for TV shows. It just is cleaner, and my FileBot expressions pull from that for naming, and it just works. But to start at the beginning, we saw how the simple file names worked pretty well. Same way as my advanced one, and this second show happened to be David's issue. The show from 1984 is actually Miss Marple in both databases, but in TVDB it's a collection of miniseries all listed as one show, and in the movie database it's Miss Marple colon whatever the individual miniseries was as its own TV show. So this was a good one to just kind of pick up. I didn't expect to see this happen, but it makes for a great video to show you the differences between the two databases and why I push towards the TVDB. So happy Plexing, and David, I hope this answers your question.